Welcome to the channel. Here we go beyond the headlines and look at the deeper processes behind them. And today's topic is a fascinating one. If you look at the map of history, Iran shouldn't exist the way it does today. It was conquered repeatedly by some of the most powerful forces in history. Alexander the Great, the early Islamic caliphates, the Mongol Empire. And yet, unlike most ancient civilizations, it never truly disappeared. To understand why Iran is so unique, we need to understand what happened in Iranian history through the ages. So, what we call Iran today begins in a recognizable form with the Achaemenid Empire, founded by Cyrus the Great around 550 BC. This wasn't just another kingdom expanding its borders. It was one of the first large-scale empires that developed systems to govern diverse populations. It stretched from Egypt to the Indus Valley, connected by infrastructure like the Royal Road, and organized through satrapies or regional administrations. When Alexander defeated Darius III in 330 BC, the empire collapsed politically, but its administrative systems and local elites didn't simply vanish. They were absorbed into the structures of the new rulers. That pattern repeats almost immediately. After Alexander's death, his empire fragmented, and the Seleucids struggled to maintain control over the region. Eventually, local Iranian powers reasserted themselves through the Parthian Empire, and later the Sasanian Empire, which ruled from 224 to 651 AD. The Sasanians rebuilt a centralized state and made Zoroastrianism a key element of imperial identity, while also engaging in centuries-long conflicts with Rome and Byzantium. By this point, even though regimes had changed multiple times, the region remained a continuous center of power with its own administrative traditions and cultural framework. The real rupture came in the 7th century, when Arab armies defeated the Sasanian Empire. In 651, the last Sasanian ruler fell and Iran became part of the Islamic Caliphate. This is typically the kind of moment where older identities dissolve. New language, new religion, new ruling class. Arabic became dominant in administration, and Islam replaced Zoroastrianism as the primary religion. But within a few centuries, Persian re-emerged, written in the Arabic script but clearly distinct, and Persian scholars, administrators, and poets became central figures in the Abbasid Caliphate. Instead of being culturally replaced, Iran reshaped the Islamic world from within. Then, in the 13th century, the Mongol invasion hit the region with a level of destruction that is hard to overstate. Beginning in 1219, cities like Nishapur and Merv were devastated, populations were massacred, and entire economic systems collapsed. This wasn't just a conquest. It was near total destruction. And yet, within a few generations, the Mongol rulers of the Ilkhanate converted to Islam and adopted Persian administrative practices. Once again, the conquerors ended up integrating into the very culture they had nearly destroyed. A major turning point came in 1501 with the rise of the Safavid Empire under Shah Ismail I. What makes the Safavid period so important is not just political unification, but the decision to establish Twelver Shia Islam as the state religion. This created a clear and lasting distinction between Iran and its predominantly Sunni neighbors, especially the Ottoman Empire. For the first time in centuries, Iran had a unified political structure aligned with a distinct religious identity, and that combination proved remarkably durable. In the centuries that followed, especially under the Qajar dynasty from the late 18th to early 20th century, Iran became weaker in geopolitical terms. It lost territory to Russia through treaties like Gulistan in 1813 and Turkmenchay in 1828, and it fell under significant British and Russian influence. But even in this period of relative weakness, Iran remained a recognizable entity, with its own internal continuity. In the 20th century, the Pahlavi dynasty, beginning with Reza Shah in 1925, attempted rapid modernization and centralization. Infrastructure expanded, the state became more centralized, and there was a deliberate effort to reduce the influence of religious institutions. Under his successor, Mohammad Reza Shah, oil revenues increased and Iran became closely aligned with Western powers, but political repression and social inequality grew alongside modernization. That tension culminated in the 1979 Islamic Revolution, when the monarchy was overthrown and replaced by a system based on religious authority under Ayatollah Khomeini. Since then, Iran has operated as an Islamic republic, often in direct opposition to Western political systems, while maintaining a strong internal identity and regional influence. When you step back and look at this entire sequence, Achaemenid, Parthian, Sasanian, Islamic Caliphate, Mongol rule, Safavid, Qajar, Pahlavi, and the modern Islamic Republic. The political systems changed dramatically, often through conquest or collapse, but certain elements remain surprisingly consistent: the persistence of the Persian language, the continuity of administrative traditions, and the repeated ability of the society to absorb external forces and reshape them. So, as you can see, Iran's survival isn't really about avoiding conquest. Historically, it was conquered many times. What's unusual is that each time, instead of being erased, it reasserted itself in a slightly different form. The rulers changed, the religion changed, the borders shifted, but the underlying cultural and institutional framework proved resilient enough to carry through all of it. To understand this, it helps to compare. Take Babylon. It was once one of the most powerful centers in the world: law, architecture, influence across Mesopotamia. But after repeated conquests, Persians, Greeks, others, its language disappeared, its institutions collapsed, and its identity dissolved into the empires that replaced it. Now compare that to Iran. It was also conquered by Alexander, by Arab armies, by the Mongols. But its language returned, its administrative systems adapted, its culture continued to shape whoever ruled it. That's the difference. Babylon was absorbed and lost. Iran was absorbed and then reasserted itself. And that pattern repeated for over 2,000 years. And that's why Iran is not just an old country. It's one of the rare examples of a civilization that has maintained a continuous identity across more than 2.5 millennia, not by resisting change, but by continuously adapting to it. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe. It helps more than you think. See you in the next one.